woman, she was absolutely ruthless. And when I mean ruthless, the way she was unaliving those people, woo! Suck my say! You felt every argument, every goddamn betrayal, every betrayal. Hey book lovers, I'm Ronnie and welcome back to my channel. I am super excited for today's video because we're going to do something a little bit different. I've read a ton of books this year, and what I mean by a ton of books, I mean 196 books. But today, I'm only going to talk about my absolute favorite series of 2024. These are the ones that kept me up at night, had me hooked from start to finish, and just completely took over my reading life this year. So do what you do, grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Okay, let's start with The Art of Hood Love series by Antoinette Sherrill. From the characters to the drama to the moments that made me cheer and the ones that had me side-eyeing a few folks, yeah, you know how that go. This series was a ride. Let me give you a quick rundown. So it is a 3-book series. In book 1, we meet Savvy Madden, a young woman trying to escape her past, but only digging herself deeper. Her life takes a turn when she meets Shabu Blaze, a street hustler who gives her love she's never known. But life doesn't let them breathe for too long. Family secrets and past mistakes come knocking, and Savvy is forced to face the consequences of her choices. It's a classic good girl meets bad boy love story, but with the grit of realism that only urban fiction can deliver. Now, book 2 takes the drama to a whole new level. Book 2 was my favorite, by the way. Savvy is trying to rebuild her life after the chaos of the first book, but healing isn't easy, especially when her relationship with Shabu is under constant pressure. Shabu, on the other hand, is dealing with the streets, the weight of his past, and his deepening feelings for Savvy. Just when you think they might catch a break, new dangers and secrets come to light. Their love is tested in ways that had me clutching my pearls, y'all. Now, book 3, the final book, love is still messy, trauma is still real, and the couple faces some serious questions about whether or not they can move forward together, or if their past will keep pulling them apart. Book 3 was my least favorite, but let me start off by talking about what I did love about book 3 first, before we get into the nitty-gritty about what I didn't like. In book 3, we get more of Titan and Michi. Titan is Shabu's cousin and Michi is Savvy's older cousin. Titan and Michi, listen, Titan came through in this book. He held Michi down every step of the way. From day one, he knew how he felt about her and he wasn't afraid to show it. Michi had a lot of trauma, but Titan's patience and consistency really stood out. He might not have handled everything as smoothly as I would have liked, but his mission was clear, and that was to love her and to help her heal. And honestly, he did that. All right, so now let's get into what I didn't like, and that was Savvy and Shabu's conflict. I wasn't feeling it. The first half of the book had this like push and pull dynamic that I felt was really unnecessary. Like, we already had 95% of the answers. Why all of this extra mental anguish? I felt like their connection, which was so strong in books 1 and 2, kind of got lost there. I wanted to see that same undeniable chemistry throughout. It just didn't hit the same way for me. And then there's Relic. Shabu's cold-hearted big brother. But side note, Relic was fine. All right, let me not go off the subject. Anywho, in books 1 and 2, I could not stand Relic. I was sitting there like, Shabu, please, can you handle your brother already? But Antoinette Sherelle did something interesting here. She took this cold, gutter, grimy dude and gave him layers. By the end of this book, I went from hating Relic to disliking him to finally seeing him as a person who craved love that he never got. He wasn't just some heartless villain. He was a product of his environment. And by the end, I actually felt hope for him. When I took a step back, I realized something. Relic and Shabu, they mirror each other. Both of them were shooters. Both of them handled their business with no hesitation. The difference? Shabu lets himself love and be loved, while Relic suppresses it. That contrast was so well done, and it really made me appreciate the layers in the characters. So while book 3 wasn't my favorite in the series, it was still a great read that wrapped things up nicely. The way Antoinette Sherelle dives into trauma, healing, and the complexities of love is what kept me hooked from beginning to end. And can we talk about how Antoinette infused the Haitian culture throughout the series? Sakbase! I love that. It wasn't just sprinkled in for decoration. It was fully integrated into the characters, the plot, and the storyline. From the family dynamics to the traditions and the way it shaped the decisions and the personalities of the characters like Shabu and Relic, the Haitian culture added so much depth and authenticity to the story. Stories like this are so important because they give us readers access to a culture and perspective that's often underrepresented in urban fiction. Antoinette gave us a window into the richness of Haitian heritage while still delivering a compelling story. It's a reminder of how powerful representation is and why we need more books like this on our shelves. The Art of Hood Love series is definitely worth checking out. If you read it, let me know your thoughts. So let's talk about a series that's all about drama, and that is the Thug series by Wahida Clark. This is a 7-book series, but I actually have only the first 6, which is okay because the 7th book was not my favorite out of the series. All right. Yeah, they do look, they are a little bit different because if you caught my book haul, I talked about me wanting the different cover books 1 through 3, and then the rest were of people on it. So that's why they don't match, but I didn't care. When I say this series is a classic urban fiction, I mean it. Wahida Clark really set the bar high with the Thug series. It's gritty, it's real, it's full of drama, betrayal that will have you hooked from book 1. If you're a fan of books that give you like high stakes relationships, unforgettable characters, and nonstop twists, this series is for you. The Thug series takes you deep into the lives of Tasha, Kira, Angel, and Jazz. 4 strong women navigating love and loyalty while dealing with the harsh realities of street life. Their lives are intertwined with the men they love, Trey, Marvin, Tay, and Kaale, who are caught up in the streets hustling and doing what they have to do to survive. Hence the title, Thugs. But as we know, love and streets don't mix easily. This series explores the ups and downs of these couples' relationships, from betrayals and heartbreak to moments of intense passion and loyalty. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions. Like, the betrayal was on the 10th power. It was so crazy. All right, so the key characters in this series are Tasha and Trey. Tasha and Trey are the heart of the series. Their love is intense, but it's tested over time, over and over again, by Trey's life in the streets and Tasha's desire for something more stable. You can't help but root for them, even when they're making questionable choices. That's an understatement. Their questionable choices push that plot forward, okay? Then we have Kira and Marvin. Kira and Marvin have their own sheer drama, with Marvin's hustler lifestyle putting Kira in situations that make her question their future together. The whole series, she had to question their future together, because I don't know what Marvin was doing. Then you have Angel and Kaale. Angel and Kaale give us a different perspective on love and loyalty, with Angel being caught up between her feelings and the reality of Kalen's dangerous world. And then we have Jazz. Jazz is one of those characters who brings her own energy to the series. She's bold and independent and constantly shaking things up in her relationships and her friendships. We do get some other characters later on in the series. We do get Fahim, that's Jazz's man, and we get Charlie Lee. Charlie Lee. Woo! Charlie Lee. And Chiron, who just, woo, they flipped this series. They really did. Whew. So what I love most about this series is how Wahida doesn't sugarcoat anything. Not one bit. Not even to her readers. She was getting at you through the story by telling you off about what you were saying about her characters. She put in the story. I was like, this lady is wild, but I was here for it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. She shows the raw, unfiltered realities of street life, the dangers, the heartbreaks, and the hard choices people do have to make. The love stories are the centerpiece, but they're not picture perfect. These relationships are messy. They are extremely messy, complicated, and so real. Man, you felt every argument, every goddamn betrayal, every betrayal, and every moment of forgiveness. Psych, I did not feel every moment of forgiveness. The way the series balances the drama of the streets with the emotional depth of these relationships is what makes it special to me. Books 4 and 5, which one? 4 and 5. Books 4 and 5, hands down, were my favorite of the series. The drama and messiness hit their peak with Trey's constant cheating. And when Tasha finally decided to match his energy, whoa, let me tell you, she matched it all the way. It was chaos, but the kind of chaos you can't stop reading. Their back and forth was wild. Wahida really kept me on the edge of my seat, wondering who was going to cross that line next and whether they'd ever make it work. Like, I just, let me not say. Now, here's the thing. While I love the earlier books, I was really rooting for Tasha to end up with a certain someone who came on the scene by the name of Chiron. And what was so special about Chiron was that he was Kalen's brother. Do you see the dilemma? Kaale and Trey were best friends, but Chiron was his brother. Talk about mess. That was mess. All right? He seemed to really love her, and I felt that he was better for her than Trey. That's why books 6 and 7 were not my favorites. I didn't love how Wahida changed Chiron's character. It felt like a completely different person that I was reading about. And honestly, it brought the plot down, changing the directions the way she did. Wahida really knows how to write flawed, messy characters who feel real. You love them, you hate them, you love them, you hate them, and sometimes you just want to throw that book across the room, but you can't stop reading. This series gives you everything: love, betrayal, loyalty, and so much drama. And while Trey and Tasha's relationship is toxic, let's not get it twisted, it is toxic. is also one of the most compelling love stories. Man, listen, I'm not calling that a love story. It is one of the most compelling stories in urban fiction. If you are a fan of urban fiction that pulls you into the characters' lives and emotions, this series is a must-read. Whether you're a team Trey or team Chiron, or like me, just yelling at Tasha to pick someone who will love her right, you'll be hooked. All right, let's take a switch from the last two that we just talked about, which were urban fiction romance, urban fiction novels. And let's jump into a dark romance series that was written by a non-Black author. And that is The Mime series by S.T. Abbey. This is a 5-book series, but I purchased the all-in-one series. And let me tell you, this is a doozer to hold in your hand. I highly do not recommend that you do that. Get it on Kindle and read it, and then just buy it as a trophy. You know those books that stick with you the days after you finish them? This series was one of them. It's exactly what that series did to me. I went in with the low expectations because honestly, hype books don't always deliver. But let me tell you, this one absolutely lived up to the hype. This series had me turning pages like my life depended on it. It was dark, it was intense, it's got a romance that will have you questioning your morals. Really. So the main character is Lana, and she's a dun-dun-dun-dun serial. Yes, you heard me right, a serial. But don't write her off just yet. She's not unaliving for fun. She's out for revenge after her family was brutally attacked, murdered, and framed for a crime they didn't commit. Every move she made was calculated, methodical, and she was absolutely ruthless. And when I mean ruthless, the way she was unaliving those people, woo! The only other character that I've read about that was as ruthless as her was Smoke from Demon's Dream. So that'll give you a picture of what she was doing. Then there's Logan, the FBI profiler who's on a mission to catch this unknown killer. But little does he know, the woman he's fallen head over heels for is the very same person he's hunting for. The stakes couldn't be any higher, and it creates this insane push and pull between love and justice. Lana is one of the most badass female leads I ever read about. She's smart, relentless, and honestly, terrifying, like I said. But you can't help but root for her. Her revenge isn't random. Every single person she targets played a part in the destruction of her family. She makes them pay in ways that leave your jaw on the floor. Okay? Ooh, that girl was bad. Logan, on the other hand, is the ultimate good guy that I was swooning over. An FBI profiler with a strong moral compass. But what I loved about him is how his love for Lana softened her edges. He brought this light into her dark world, and their chemistry was off the charts. So we also have some side characters who weren't just a filler in the story. They added depth that helped drive the plot forward in such an organic way. What blew me away about this series is the balance between the dark, gritty revenge plot and the romance. I just didn't think it was possible. I'm like, how the heck we gonna get a romance, especially the way she was unaliving these people? Like, how we gonna get a beautiful romance out of here? But somehow we did, and I fell for it. Lana's revenge is brutal, but it's also methodical and well-planned that you're kind of like in awe of her. At the same time, Logan's love for her is so pure, it gives you hope that she will be able to find peace. Because she's haunted. She's traumatized by this. That's why she's doing what she's doing. The tension is really surreal. Like, you're constantly wondering, what's Logan gonna do when he finds out? Like, that's what kept having me turn the pages. I'm like, what happens when he gonna find out? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna harass her? Is he gonna join her? Like, what is he gonna do? Because he was such a moral character in this story, coming across somebody who was completely opposite of what he stood for. And so that's what made me keep turning the pages. Like, I want to know, 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 I want to know. I love how complex Lana was as a character. She's not your typical revenge-driven anti-hero. She's layered, she's vulnerable at times, but still she was unapologetically fierce. And Logan, he was everything. The way he couldn't keep his hands off her and showed her unconditional love, that's what had me swooning over him. Because he was just, again, he was just so good and so loving. This book, honestly, felt like it was made for the screen. I can easily see this as a TV series. I'd be the first one in line to watch it. The twist, the suspense, the romance, it was all cinematic. It has everything a good series need. A gripping plot, unforgettable characters, moments that will make you scream at the screen. Definitely someone needs to call Netflix. Again, this series had everything. Action, romance, suspense, and a lead character who was both terrifying and inspiring. If you haven't read it, you're seriously missing out. So if you're into dark romance with a side of revenge and a whole lot of heart, this series is really for you. Trust me, you will not regret it. Let's go to the series that had me absolutely transfixed, and that was the Ethics series by Ashley Antoinette. So the Ethics series is a 6-book series, but I only have the first 5. If you loved A Moth to the Flame, you're definitely going to want to get into this series because it takes the drama, the emotions, and the stakes to a whole new level. So Ethic picks up the story and takes it to places that you didn't expect. I'm talking about new characters, higher stakes, drama that feels like it's straight out of a soap opera, but in the best way possible. It's like Ashley Antoinette really hit her stride with this series, and she's not holding back anything. Every chapter leaves you wanting more. This series revolves around Ethic. He's the guy who's got one foot in the street life and the other in the search for something deeper. He's not just your typical street kingpin. He's complex with a mind that's always thinking 2 steps ahead and an emotional side that slowly unravels as we go deeper into his story. This series has it all. If you're a fan of a morally complex character, forbidden love, or high-stakes drama, this is absolutely the series for you. So let's talk about the man that we love, and that is the myth, the legend, Ethic. He's the heart of this story. He's powerful, he's intelligent, he knows how to get things done. But there's also this vulnerability that makes him impossible not to root for. He's constantly balancing his loyalty to his people and his desire for something more in a meaningful life. What I love about Ethic is that he's not just your typical bad boy character. Sure, he has his flaws. Like, mad flaws. He has a lot of flaws. That's an understatement. And he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. Well, of course. But when it comes to the people he loves, he's a totally different person. He's got this cold, calculating exterior, but on the inside, he's a man that deeply cares. Sometimes to his own detriment. Like, yeah, I had a love-hate relationship with Ethic. I will say that. Because sometimes I was mad at him, and sometimes I was like, oh my God, my baby. You know, my baby. Lord, help him. So we get familiar characters from the Moth to the Flame that's also in Ethic series. For example, Morgan. We all know Morgan. Yeah, let's talk about her. She definitely adds another layer to this series. Morgan is one of those characters you want to root for, but she's constantly battling her own demons. Matter of fact, I wasn't rooting for her. I take that back. Morgan got on my nerves. She really did. She was too emotional. She was too emotional. Is she emotional and ethic, or is it butterfly? I don't even know. They all combined now. She's dealing with emotional and mental struggles that pull her in every direction. It's like every time she takes 2 steps forwards, life throws her a curveball and she's right back at square one. Her conflicts come from trying to find balance in her life while everything around her is in chaos. What I'll say about Morgan is, despite her mistakes, she is strong and she is determined. She does have moments of weaknesses, but she still comes back fighting. She has been through a lot. She's experienced a lot of loss. So because she's been through so much, you can't help but want to see her rise above all the obstacles that's in her way, you know. But Morgan. And then we've got Messiah. This guy. Unpredictable doesn't even begin to cover it. He's one of those characters that keep you on your toes. You never know what he's going to do next. And that's what makes him so essential to the plot. Of course, he's essential to the plot. Listen, all of them are crazy. That's all I got to say. They all were nuts. I could not believe what they were doing, how they were moving, what they were saying. Messiah's loyalty gets tested time and time again. And his decisions start impacting everyone around him. Messiah was trouble. He really was. I don't know what Messiah was doing. He's got a lot of his own baggage, and while he's a wild card, it's impossible to look away from him. His unpredictability keeps the drama alive and adds layers of complexity to the story. Now let's talk about why I had like a love-hate relationship with Ethic, and it was because of Alani. Enters Alani in this series. She wasn't in the Morph to the Flame. If you read the Morph to the Flame, you'll understand why. So now we have someone who walks in and shakes up Ethic even more. Another one of those players that just brings the drama to the story. Alani shakes things up just by walking through the door. I was so confused. I could not understand how Ashley was going to do this. How you going to have this lady go through this? Like, he took from her. He took from her. Like, how? But I'm telling you, Ashley, she know what she's doing. She was able to turn it around, and I couldn't believe it. I was so mad at Ethic. It was like, damn you. All these characters, Morgan, Messiah, Alani, and of course Ethic, bring something vital to this series. They each have their own struggles and conflicts that push the plot forward. And when their paths cross, that's when things really go off the rails. The interactions between these characters create tension that makes the story so gripping, whether they're working together or pulling in different directions or betraying one another. You could feel the drama unfolding. I mean, it was so much. I said this before. Ashley will have you stuck in your seat trying to get a handle of such a gripping story. Ashley Antoinette has a way of pulling you into the world of these characters and making you feel every moment. From the high stakes situation to the emotional roller coasters, this series never slows down. Like, never. To the point where she had to get another series called the Butterfly series. I couldn't put that on here because we don't have book 6 yet. We're book 6, Ashley. All right, so let's switch it up a little bit with the Black series by Joan Vassa. And let me tell you, this series was a masterpiece. If you're into historical fiction with a rich storyline, well-developed characters, and romance that will have you hooked from the first page, this one's for you. So the Black series, I'll post the whole series here, but I only have books 1 and 3. I'm working on getting the rest, but I started with 1 and 3 because they are my favorites out of the whole series. It's a powerful historical fiction that's set in the 1800s, right in the heart of the slavery era. The series kicks off with a bang in August 1831 when Nat Turner leads his rebellion against slavery. A revolt, though brutally suppressed, shakes the South. These events sets the stage for the birth of the main character, Nat Hope Turner, or also known as Black. The story is filled with passion, rebellion, and a deep longing for freedom. As we follow Black's journey in a world that's anything but kind to him and his people. Book 1 kicks off with Black, who has been raised in secret to protect his identity. After rescuing Sunday, a young female slave, their undeniable connection ignites into a fierce love story. But their love isn't just about passion. It's about risking everything for freedom. Black and Sunday's journey is about escaping the confines of slavery, fighting for their right to live freely, and finding hope in each other. This series takes you on a journey that is as heart-wrenching as it is empowering. And what I love most, it doesn't just skim the surface. It pulls you all the way in with its authenticity, drama, and powerful themes. What stands out right away is how real the series feels. Joan Vassar did her research. The language, the customs, the way the people lived, it's all there. For example, instead of saying like the modern phrases, the characters use terms like coupling to describe intimacy, which adds so much authenticity. It's like stepping back in time and living alongside these characters. Black is a leader who is strong, protective, and full of integrity. Sunday is resilient and so easy to root for. But it's not just them. There's also Big Mama, James, Elbert, Jeremiah, Kaale, Anna, Abigail, Anthony, Schultz. It's a whole community. These are characters that you fall in love with, flaws and all. At its core, the Black series is more than just love or freedom. It's about family and redemption. Jeremiah's character's arc, for example, is one of the most powerful I've ever read. It's about growth, change, and finding your way, even when the odds are stacked against you. The world building is phenomenal. From the food they eat to the way they interact, every detail is carefully crafted. You can feel the struggles, the victories, and the day-to-day life of the characters in such a real way. And even though it's set during slavery times, you still get the most unforgettable romances. The romance? Woo! The chemistry between Black and Sunday is everything. And let me not forget Jeremiah and Kaale's love story, just as intense and unforgettable. My favorite books and couples in this series is book 1 and book 1 and book 3. Although book 1 is definitely a standout for me because of the intensity between Black and Sunday, book 3 really holds more weight in my heart. It's not just the love story of Jeremiah and Kaale that was so fire and so flame. It's also about Jeremiah's redemption, okay? The enemies to lovers dynamic between the two is sizzling hot. And their passion, unmatched. Jeremiah's growth as a character and his evolution throughout the story is so impactful. One of the things I especially appreciated is how Joan infused culture into every corner of this series. The way she authentically portrays the time period, the struggles, and the resilience of the Black individuals during the 1800s, it's so important for stories like this to be told and for readers to have access to them. It's not just a series you read, it's a series you feel. It teaches you something while still giving you all the drama, the action, and the romance you could want. So if you're a fan of books that transport you to another time and place, the Black series is a must read. I already read and listened to it 2 times. That's how much I love this series. That's how good it was. That's how impactful it was. Whether you're in for it for the romance, the history, or for the powerful themes, This series delivers on every front. All right, that's a wrap on my favorite series of 2024. I love to hear from you. Have you read any of these? Or do you have any favorite series from this year that I need to check out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's chat. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I've got a lot more content coming your way, so stay tuned for some more deep dives, reviews, and recommendations. Thanks so much for watching. Click the video on the screen, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy reading!